are about to share an incredible vibe and view here on the podcast with Amore, but even more importantly, with my very good friend Katia Stern.
Hello, Ronnie. Thanks for having me here.
Well, the thanks and the pleasure is all mine, because anytime I get to sit down with you and have fun, you never know where this conversation is going to go.
And we love that, don't we?
It's the uncertain. Like, all of our lives are so pre-programmed. Wake up at this time, eat this, go to this meeting, do this. We live our lives by the calendar in our phone, that sometimes when we just have that little bit of uncertainty.
I don't know. Talk about yourself. I'm not like that. I've changed my life a while ago, and I realized that all this being on schedule, all this being busy or pretending to be busy, it's not working for me. It's not giving me pleasure, and I want pleasure.
Okay, well, let's talk about pleasure. But before we do that, I want to get to know you a little bit. Now, I know that right now you're a full-time resident of Toronto, right?
I'm an international
Wow.
star.
But where are you from?
I'm originally from Moscow, Russia.
Really?
From the center of Moscow.
Okay, so you grew up in Moscow, which is we're in Miami right now. This is where we live. We're in Miami, and it's absolutely stunning and gorgeous here. There are some parts of Moscow that are absolutely breathtaking, but we don't have this kind of weather.
Well, if the weather was like this, everybody would be living in Moscow.
Mm-hmm. How did growing up in a cold weather climate, very frigid, where you always wrapped up head to toe in clothes, how did that affect you?
Well, I wore sable coats. That affected me quite all right.
Okay.
Well, if you don't know any better,
Yeah.
at that time we didn't know that it was possible to live in Miami. So I actually, up to the age probably 10, I actually didn't understand how is it even possible to live anywhere but Moscow.
I always thought the same thing about New York.
Yeah, okay.
I said, if you don't live in New York, how are you making any money? How are you paying your bills? How do you travel? I thought that the trains only ran to New York and no place else, that you had to get on a plane. And, when I grew up, getting on a plane was a spectacular event. If you ever see, like, the videos of people in air travel in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were wearing suits, and the women would dresses and shoes. Now, you go in your pajamas on a plane.
I don't like that.
No.
No. I'm always in style.
Uh-huh.
That's just a part of me, of my personal brand, and my personal brand is me and my identity.
You're the woman who, when you're waiting at the gate and you don't know who you're sitting next to, you're the woman that when you walk up, people are like, oh, I hope she's sitting next to me. I hope I get to sit next to her.
I wouldn't know.
All right, so Moscow, how old were you, or when did you leave Moscow, and where'd you go?
I was 17.
Okay, where'd you go
I had
to?
a pretty good life in Moscow, I have to mention.
Really?
Yeah, you have to understand, we have people here who have a very limited knowledge of Russia.
Sure.
And obviously it was a communist country and all that, but I had a better life. Like I had not better, but I mean, I come from a wealthy family by those communist standards,
Right.
meaning my father was a well-known jeweler from Arbat Street. People know Arbat Street, and my grandfather was a big shot. And in the 70s, my grandfather had a driver, was Pobeda car, whatever it was called. So I lived a good life. My mother was born in the. They lived in the building where now there's a hotel, Four Seasons.
Wow.
So that's where my mom's from. So I'm the privileged one, I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been eating caviar and never struggled, really.
Well, isn't caviar like the sixth food group in Russia?
It's like we had it for breakfast.
Yeah, it's like having peanut butter and jelly here in America.
Yeah, but I remember one of my childhood memories was actually that made me, I guess, like childhood beliefs that connected money to fear was we had this jar of caviar, like a glass jar.
Okay.
And we finished it. I put it outside of the door of our apartment. So it was caviar was still there. And my mom saw me when she came back. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing? They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. I'm like, who's going to kill me? You can't do that. You can't show people that we have this.
Really?
So I'm like, okay, I can. My belief became, it got stuck in my mind, I guess, subconsciously, obviously, that you can't show wealth or you're going to be killed.
Yeah.
And I think that influenced some of my ideas about money later on in life.
Complete opposite here in Miami. I mean, here, there's people driving Ferraris here that live in studio apartments and have not a dollar to their name.
I guess that's the difference. One of the big differences.
Very different. So you leave Moscow. Where do you end up once you leave Moscow?
I ended up in Canada.
Okay.
Toronto.
No kidding. Now, were you working as a model? Because you're absolutely stunning. You're like 5'10". I mean, her eyes are like the color of the ocean here in Miami.
Okay, if I wear
Stunning
heels, yes.
body. You work out every day, and you can sing. Why Toronto from Moscow? You just wanted to be closer to the cold weather? You couldn't get away from the cold weather?
That was the only choice I had at the time.
Okay.
To get out. I got out, and I stayed. And I went to university to study psychology. And meanwhile, when I was studying, I worked a lot in the movies. There is a lot of movies being shot in Toronto. So I worked as an extra in the movies. I did some lines. So and I was told by everybody there that, aren't you pursuing this career? Aren't you going to be an actress? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a psychologist. What are you talking about? Like, my father would kill me if I was an actress. Nobody killed me. I didn't become an actress. Yeah.
But we have really good conversations, and inevitably the conversations always turn towards like relationships and sex, because that is your business at this point. Can you tell everybody exactly what you do and how you help people?
Let's talk about sex, baby. That's what you said. I can sing. Okay, let me sing. Yes.
What is it that you do?
I kind of want to tell you the whole story of how I got here, but no. It's just, I got to a point in my life where I realized I wanted to go deeper. No pun intended.
How you doing?
I wanted to go deeper. Before I studied psychology because I wanted to know how the mind works. Then I became a lawyer because I wanted to know how the outside world works, how the system, the government, how that works. So, and then I did a lot of other fun things as health and wellness, and I did bodybuilding and stuff. But I realized there's missing something. I'm missing a key. I'm still don't have my answers. And then I realized that all the answers are there in the sexology. That's where all the problems are. Not all, but a lot of the problems are. And that's where the solution is. That's the good news. So I started digging deeper and deeper.
How deep?
And deeper and deeper. You see, I'm a certified hypnosist in sexology. That's one of the ways of putting people in the
Of course, yes. You're doing mind control by lowering your voice a little bit.
Of course.
How low can you go?
How low do you want me to go? How low can you handle?
Wow. Do svidaniya.
Ciao.
So you said something there that was really interesting about how sex is connected to everything.
Absolutely. That's the most natural thing.
So how come people don't realize this, and why do people go on and living their lives in misery instead of just figuring out, talking with somebody like you and figuring out what their issue is and living a happy life?
We've been conditioned to be ashamed of sex, of anything that has to do with sex. We've been living in this shame and guilt for even wanting to have a better sex life. And every growth, every healing starts with admitting that there's something, I don't want to say wrong, but something needs to be changed. And people usually don't get there. Because very often I see somebody, I meet the person for the first time, and somebody introduces me as a sexologist, and especially guys, they're like, that's okay, I don't have any problems. That's the first thing they say. I don't have any problems.
I mean, I don't.
You don't, but that's
No.
not what sexology is. Very often, and that's kind of my expertise, it's not about problems, it's about getting better and getting the knowledge. I actually prefer to be called as, even though I'm a clinical sexologist, but I like to educate people and help people overcome that shame that around sex, that guilt, that terrible feeling of just.
We were talking about this before.
Were we?
So yeah, because I do a lot of research. I do a lot of field research, especially in sex.
Field work, okay.
Yes.
Everything for the science, right?
Yes, it's just for research.
Anything-
It's for research
anything for
purposes
research.
only.
Okay.
But we were talking before, and something that you just said about like shame, and I think a lot of things in our lives go back to our childhood, right? And then we were talking about how some people, they like just not passionate sex. They might like it rough. They might like it a little control, role reversal, or whatever. And a lot of it goes back to, like you were saying, maybe somebody liked getting spanked when they were a young kid, and they remember that sensation.
They connected that even if it was painful. If, for example, it was an abusive father who was spanking the child, but the body reacts. Body reacts. Some nervous endings that are connected to the genitals, and you get aroused, and then you need that pain to feel that arousal, and you keep repeating those patterns from before, and even if you psychologically, logically, with your prefrontal cortex, if you don't want that, but your subconscious wants that because that's what's familiar to you, and you keep going there.
I find myself, now I've had some success in life in relationships. I've had a lot of no success in relationships, which I always find strange because my guy friends, I've been friends with since kindergarten, since we were like 4 or 5 years old. Stayed friends for 50 years, But yet I've had multiple marriages, and I always feel like the marriages don't last because I like variety. And it's not that I like the variety. I like that feeling of the chase. I guess it's the man in me. That's the excuse I'm going with. But I like the feeling of the chase, of going after that. Then once you get it, you're like, meh, okay.
That's dopamine.
That's dopamine.
You're
Okay.
addicted to dopamine.
Yeah, of course. Because
That's all about it.
But is it also insecurity? Like, I need to be validated, or I don't feel good about myself in one way, so
Do you feel good about yourself?
for the most part, I feel great about
You
myself.
see, that's the answer.
Yeah. But
That's your
maybe
answer.
buried deep within the folds of my brain, something is saying that I'm not happy about something, or I need somebody to validate me, to make me feel good about myself. Or is it just that I just need that dopamine surge?
It can be both. We all want to be validated, and
Yeah.
it's. I know people these days are trying to prove that, I don't need anybody. I don't need that validation. We all do. That's why Instagram exists. That's why we're doing here what we're doing here. It's human nature, and I don't find it useful to go against the nature. So there's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of dopamine. There's a little bit of wanting to be validated by maybe different women. But I would go back to the thing where you said you had some, some successful relationship and some, how did you phrase it?
So no, I always think about it like this, because I'm very analytical, and I try to do a lot of research on my own and try to share a lot. As much as I'm a private person, I believe in sharing a lot with people that you trust. Right? Like Monica, I trust. I'll tell Monica anything. We've developed trust in a relationship. Most of my friends through my life and my family, same thing. But how is it that I can have these relationships since I was 4 or 5 years old with the same group of men, guys, that I grew up with, who we all trust each other implicitly, and we all have great relationships. We'll argue with each other, but we always come back to we're friends, we love each other. When we get off the phone, these are guys. I can call up any one of my guy friends right now. When we get off the phone, I love you too, see you soon, bye. Not normal for most men to say to each other. But then I don't have success in female relationships.
Again, success. You don't have success. What does it even mean? How many children do you have?
Oh, I mean, yeah, with
Hold on.
that, I'm a success.
Isn't that a success in relationship?
Yes, in a way. And I'm still very good friends with their mother.
Okay.
And I'm still consider her family my family.
Okay,
I
is
call
that
her parents
success?
mom and dad. Yes, that is success.
See, at least one. All your children, is that a success?
100%.
Exactly. What else is there?
My grandchildren.
Your grandchildren.
My
Is
nieces,
that,
my
is
nephews.
Is that success?
Yes.
Okay,
100%.
so we have at least 3, 4. Okay,
But I have
But-
success there.
but
But I have
the
3
norms-
divorces.
But amazing. That's
I
amazing.
love you, Katia.
That's the thing. That's what people need. People like me to let them know that you are actually okay, because your definition of success, it's not really your definition of success. It's a definition of the society, how it's supposed to be. And how it's supposed to be is you go to whatever kindergarten, then you go to school, you go to college, then you marry the love of your life once and forever. And that's a big lie too, but that's maybe, I don't know if we're going to get to this,
Right.
but like, I got to say this now. How can you say when you are 25 and you're getting married, you're actually standing there with your future wife forever and ever, and only one person you're ever going to at least have sex with, and you like telling her, I'm going to be with you forever. You're laughing now. How is it even possible? Like, tell me. How do you know?
Exactly what you're saying.
How do you know?
Exactly what you're saying is something that I've said for years. Marriage was invented way back when, thousands of years ago, when the life expectancy, you lived to be 30 years old. You got married when you were a teenager, 13, 14, 15. Why? Because you needed to procreate, because you needed to work the field, you needed to protect the family, you needed whatever. And now, we're human beings, we're social people, right? Like, we're like dogs. We want to talk to people. We want to have relationships with a lot of people. It makes zero sense that you get married in your 20s and you're going to be just with that person until the day you die.
Exactly. That's a big lie. Sorry to disappoint whoever wants to get married, but it's a relief, no? It's not even true. We've been conditioned to think it's not even true. And marriage was created to make sure that your property goes to your son or daughter. Because there was no DNA test at the time.
Right.
So it goes to your line of children, grandchildren, so on and so forth.
This is amazing.
It is amazing.
This is going to make such great clips.
Tell me something.
Go ahead.
Right now, don't you feel relieved a little bit? Because that's what my clients say. Oh my God, such a relief, thank you. They don't really need therapy per se. They need a little bit of education like this. When I tell you, make sure you understand that your divorce is not a failure. All of your relationship is not a failure, because you made somebody happy, maybe not for the whole life, but at least were you happy for a year?
Oh, yeah.
You see? For how many times? 4 times? 4 years of happy life.
3 years. 3 years.
3 years of whatever. 3 women, three happy years. Congrats, man.
You're validating me. You're giving me a dopamine rush right now.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm here for. That's why I love working with men, because they don't get it. They don't have women like me who's actually not nagging them, doesn't want anything from them, but actually telling them, let's reframe this. Let's reframe success. Let's reframe failure.
Well, I think that we're, you ever hear the saying, misery loves company?
Yes.
Right? And I think that we're trained almost as a society, across all cultures, that people love to gossip. We love talking about what somebody did wrong, their failures. Oh, look at that person. Oh, yeah. She drives this car and has this house, but meanwhile, and
why, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And we don't want to clap. And I go out of my way to fight that. I go out of my way to tell people, I appreciate you. Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, this is, and because we're not told that on a regular basis. And I think that it is something that is so important as human beings that we let people know when we think or we have positive thoughts about them.
course. And the only reason people judge or talk about somebody else, they're comparing, they're talking about themselves. Because if this person is it's kind of like he's driving this car,
Right.
a good car, for example, and I'm not driving it. If I said there was such a great person, he's doing so well in his life,
Right.
I'm judging myself that I'm not doing enough to drive that car.
Aha.
I'm judging myself. So if I put him down, yeah, but he had to go through whatever to get that. He had to. I would never do that. See, justifying myself that I'm not driving that car because he's not, and I would not, and I'm not like that.
Have you ever heard the saying, be careful when you point the finger because there's three pointing right back at you?
Yes, of course. That's
One of the greatest sayings ever.
It's exactly what it is. We are always talking about ourselves. We do think about ourselves. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's always in relationship to, if I don't care, like you said, because you don't compare yourself with those people.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm so confident in what I do, and I'm the best at what I do. I don't need to compare myself.
Even during times of my life where I haven't made as much money as I used to make or that I'm accustomed to making, I never thought of myself as being broke. I always just said, you're not broke. You just don't have money right now. You have assets, but you just don't have liquid cash right now. Because I always just have that kind of mental attitude. And some people take it as off-putting because some people think, oh, you have this air, you just act like you're better than everybody. No, I know that I'm very good at a lot of things. And just because you're jealous of me, look at me, I'm pointing. Just because you're jealous of me doesn't mean you have to try to put me down. Hold on one second. Let me have your microphone for 1 second. There's this thing that's driving me nuts over here. I know, it's just a little fuzzy. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to flip the script. Flip the script.
Flip it.
So you help people with their sex lives and their not only spiritual but physical well-being. How is your sex life?
How is it now?
How is it, period?
How was it before?
Period.
Tell me, because it's been changing. I grow and evolve so fast that you got to give me like
How's your sex life right now?
amazing.
Really?
The best ever.
Fucking A. Wow.
Yes.
Now, are you in a relationship or?
Define relationship.
Okay. Are you with just one person?
Yes.
Okay. That's a relationship.
Okay.
You know, I think when we're much younger, we always put labels on things, but I think as we get I don't want to say when we get older, when we mature, I believe that there's a certain amount of understood commitment. If you're with somebody, if you're sharing your spirituality, you're sharing your time with them, you're with them, you're not with anybody else. You know, until something happens or until you're not feeling fulfilled.
Or you want to explore and you want more out of this relationship.
Well, how you doing? You end up at Miami Velvet.
Well, why not? I don't like Velvet, personally.
No,
there are better clubs
yeah,
in
Velvet-
Paris, for example.
Yeah, Velvet's very
Cheesy.
Yeah, cheesy, a little dirty. If I'm going to do anything on that side of the aisle, I prefer like private parties
Yes.
with people that I know and trust and that we have a good time with.
Yes. There's a big kinky
Oh, yeah.
BDSM
Oh, yeah.
community
I
that
know.
are into this.
Yeah, and you know, like you were saying before, I think that there's so much of a stigma about feeling good or about sex and exploring your sexuality that people don't really like to explore. But it's so funny.
People don't like to explore, or
Or that
they don't
they're-
allow themselves to
That.
explore. Okay,
They don't
thank you.
allow
Just
themselves.
want to make sure because that's not the same.
And I think that once people explore that side, a light bulb goes off in their head, especially if they're in a committed relationship. A light bulb goes off in their head where they realize this is how relationships should be. Not every single day, you know, going out and doing crazy things, but a little bit of variety in life helps. Nobody wants to eat cornflakes every single morning or Raisin Bran every morning.
Forget cornflakes.
Yeah.
Just forget them, period.
Sometimes you want bacon and eggs and some sausage, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Sometimes you want a quiche, a little piece of pie.
Chocolate.
We
It's
can
just
go.
the chocolate,
Wow,
champagne, and
wow.
strawberries.
Okay.
You've been to our parties here, you know?
Yes,
The
of course,
forbidden
yes.
table
Yes.
talks. It's all about chocolate, champagne, and it's sexy betting, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, sexy
How
betting
you
is
sleep is
spend
how you
you spend
feel.
nearly a third of your life in the sheets, so you have to really enjoy it.
But I just realized that a couple of days ago we were talking about this sexy betting, this wonderful brand, and when we say, if I want to with you,
Right.
I don't say if I want to with you. I want to say I want to sleep with you.
Right. You want to
It's
get in the
about
sheets.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Oops. It's about
we would
sleeping,
say-
meaning,
Yes.
and there's more.
There's also some other slang terms like I want to hit the sheets.
Yes.
Okay. Or I want to dance in the sheets with you.
Yes. If you
So
know,
there's
hit
a
it,
lot.
hit this.
Yes, yeah, I want to hit that, man. I want to knock boots. Do you know knock boots? Do you know
No.
what that is?
No, I got to put in my vocabulary.
Knock boots. So if you have like boots on and your legs are up in the air, your boots are knocking if you're on the bottom. It's a very slang term.
Boots, okay. I do wear boots sometimes in the sheets.
How have you? I want to talk about like a real life example without naming any names or anything. How have you been able to impact or change your maybe save some of your clients' lives?
Well, I've saved marriages.
Okay.
Once I got the man to admit that, first of all, one of the important things is a lot of men these days, and I work with successful men, obviously, with money.
Right.
And they do have this thing in the back of the mind that what if she's with me for the money?
Sure.
That question comes up all the time. What if she just wants my money? And so we do a lot of education around that.
But how
I'm
do you
thinking
handle
about
that?
somebody,
Because
a
that's
particular.
really important, especially in like New York, where I'm from, down here in Miami, where we live. We're surrounded by wealth, and I don't care if you only have $1 million or if you're worth $100 million or $1 billion. If you're a man, you're always thinking, is this person just with me to go out to nice dinners and travel? And if we sign that paper and we get married, so how do you handle that?
Easy. So this particular client that I'm thinking about, and it works with any man, reframe the victimhood of his mentality. Okay, he feels used.
Okay.
Do you think women, or don't you think women feel used when you guys only want us for our beauty, body, just want to be fucked?
Right.
We walk around always and under this pressure of, especially if a woman is beautiful. That's how I felt in my life. Like, I wanted to be fucked. I mean, I wanted to, yeah,
Yeah.
by them.
Sure.
How about that? You want to be fucked for your money? I'm always being fucked for my me.
Your looks. Yeah.
Yeah. How is that? Never thought of it, right? Okay. Those men, hold on, you're a man of business, right? You all make money, you make deals. Whatever you do, there's a deal, there's an agreement, there's some kind of exchange. So I have this, you have that. When we do business, any type of business, we come to an agreement. I make you happy, you make me happy, because I have the goods, you have the whatever, the money, or some kind of exchange. It's an
Right.
exchange. It's the same exchange. You have what you have, I have what you have.
Right, but there's a higher risk when you get married to somebody. If it just comes down to that,
Hold on, we're
then
not
why
talking
wouldn't a
married.
man-
Let's not touch marriage. It's a
Right,
little
so
bit.
then why wouldn't a man just never get married? Why wouldn't he say, I'll welcome you into my house, I'll pay all the bills, but I'm never getting married because I'm worth $100 million, or my family's worth $1 billion,
Yeah.
so I'll never get married, or and on top of that, I'm never getting married, and I'm gonna go do whatever I want to do that's gonna make me happy.
Well, if a woman enters that relationship, it's either she agrees with those rules, and then when she cries about it, then you enter this relationship with the notion that that's going to be happening.
Right.
And if she lies after, she's not I don't want to say a good woman, but she's been lying to you.
Right.
Yeah, of course. There are rules. So basically, it goes back to communication before you get into something like this. But most people lie to themselves, first of all, and lie to their partner. And that's what they come into a relationship with this, I'm like this, and you put your best side, right? Best front.
I think I just thought of something, which I shouldn't do this when we're talking, but I just thought of something that if a man thinks that a woman is with him just for the money, then he has a really low self-esteem of himself.
Exactly.
Because if that's all that he sees his value to that woman as, then you have more issues than just your money.
Thank you for saying this, because I was going to get there. It's like you have nothing else to offer to that woman, just your money. Then it's true, because whatever you think, it's true. These are your beliefs, and you have nothing else to offer than that money.
Right.
Because men, and I know a lot of successful men, who like, I understand she's with me because of my money. Of course, it's nice to have money. I love money, and I've been working to make that money all my life. For what?
Yeah.
To share that, to spend it on a woman, on the most beautiful woman. I want to dress her up. I want to put her in the nicest car because that's my woman. That's my face.
Yes.
And they have no problem spending money. It's the ones who are insecure that goes back to the inner work, to the undoing the victimhood mentality, and empowering them. This particular guy, I said, you know what? It's your circus. It's your monkey. You are running this circuit because I'm being used. I'm this. I'm like, no, you bought this girl, basically, if you want to speak in your terms.
Right.
You got this beautiful woman, 20 years younger than you. Of course, hello.
Yeah.
Don't you know that? And that's okay. That's the exchange that you have. You see?
Amore.
Amore.
Amore. Yeah, he's looking to exchange something.
Yes. You want to exchange? Yes.
But that's true. It's exactly true. Like, and I
Pay
always,
to play.
Yeah.
Pay to play.
Yeah.
That money is an exchange. Money is energy. You exchange that money for something you want in return. And it's good. You made all that money. What are you going to take it to your...
Right. You can't attach a U-Haul to the
can't,
hearse.
Yeah. So exactly, you're making this money. You were motivated when you were younger. You probably don't remember that, but that's what you motivated. You wanted to drive the best car. You wanted to get the best girls. So now you have that money. So go get those girls. Go spend that money because that's exchange of energy. Of course, a good-looking woman requires money, and that's normal. Why are we fighting reality?
Yeah, and I don't blame the girls because if you're a good-looking woman, if on a scale of 1 to 10 you're an 8.5 or higher, why would you want to settle for Burger King when you can go to Poppy Steak?
Why would I?
Yeah.
And yeah, those guys are creating this. Oh, she's material. Well, you are physical. You want a good-looking woman with you, and you are being selfish. Why don't you get like a... I don't want to, not a very marketable woman.
I've been on some dates with some women who are younger and have that curve to them, the Miami curve. And it's a one and done because I know I can never bring them. This past weekend I was at my nephew's communion. I could never bring them to a family function because my family would look at me and say, what the hell is wrong with you? So while sometimes it's fun to date, I could never be in a relationship. I would just feel too awkward.
Hold on. Again, when you say never, I want to say you never know. You never know.
Nah, no shot. I'm too normal of a guy.
You never know. Things like this happen. Have they ever happened once? Has this thing ever happened?
Of course, yeah.
Of course. If it happens once, if something happens once, that means it can potentially happen again. and it can happen with you, to you, and it's fine.
And by me.
And it could be the best girl you've ever met. She can be 20 years younger. She can be whatever, older. There are no rules. When people are trying to put themselves into this special format, no, this is how it's supposed to be. Like I'm trying to get them out
Yeah.
of that box. Why put yourself in the box and saying this is never going to happen to me? Well, you know how God has his own way of proving us.
I know.
Got to learn the lesson.
Well, let's end on
You don't
this.
seem too convinced.
No, I mean, I am and I'm not. I mean, this is like, we can go on and
Wanna
talk
talk
about this
about
for
it?
2 hours.
Yeah.
But you know, like the saying says, you know, a man is only as faithful as his options. So I think that part of the financial commitment is that, okay, if you're with this woman for X amount of period of time and then you just jump into somebody else and you get rid of her, the woman might have given you the best years of her life. She can't be left penniless. So I understand that side of the equation.
Well, first of all, I would want to say she wasn't there,
Right.
handcuffed to the.
Yeah, she wasn't kidnapped.
Kidnapped.
Right.
She knew what she was doing. So I don't like when men pretend to be victims, and I don't like when women pretend to be
Right.
victims. And I'm not advocating for either. I'm advocating for both because I'm always for the win-win. And when of course, it's your, I don't want to say moral principles, but you're not going to do this too, right? You are taking care of your kids, and
Of course.
so it goes back to your own personal growth, and you're not going to do. So those men, of course, on the spectrum, those happens to good women and happens to good men. It happens. It's a part of life. Whether like I put myself in that situation when I left the father of
How
my
long were you married
child.
for? Do you mind me asking how long
Yeah,
you
we
were
were
married
like 7 years together.
Okay.
And I
Still a
left
long
with
enough period
I
of
left
time.
with zero.
for? Really?
I left with zero. And before that, we lived in Monaco, Monte Carlo.
And you
Every
left with
girl's
nada.
dream. I
Zero.
swear. I swear.
Niet.
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 Nada. Total. We lived just to have a little bit of an image of my life.
Right.
So he was a race car driver. Not for Formula 1, for Formula 3000, which we raced together. Formula 1 was Saturday and Sunday. We raced Friday and Saturday.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So I lived that race car wife
Right,
life.
you're going on the circuit, always
I
traveling.
was traveling with him. Most of that was in Europe. And then his family had, at the time, one of the biggest boats in Monaco, or we were docking in Old Antibes.
Saint-Tropez? Oh, okay.
Old Antibes, one of the biggest boats at that time, 47 meters, I believe, 7 people crew.
It's big.
It was big. Now it's about 70, 80 meters is a
Yeah.
medium
We
size.
see them docked in downtown Miami all the time.
At that time, that was 25 years ago, 20 whatever. And so I'm calculating. Gives me anxiety. I'm like, how many years? What? I'm 25, if anything. But so, and so that's the kind of life that I was living. Monaco, and the boat,
And going on
the
the-
champagne. I was like on the boat. I was the lady of the boat. Wow. And when it started. Anyways, he's a good person. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
But he started,
Sure.
you know how athletes, when they stop being disciplined, when they,
Yes.
some of them lose it.
I
So
know
he
all
did.
about losing your discipline as an athlete.
Okay, that was a bit of different. He became a bit abusive. But anyways, I left. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever
sure.
made in my life because I come from whatever is called normal family, and of course I always thought that my daughter would be also have like both parents all the time. So I was that's how I saw my life. But that wasn't the case. Again, we would not. Yeah, it was hard to even think about it now. But I.
But
Faced
it
the most.
shaped your life. Like
It did.
'cause sometimes you don't know who you are until you face defeat.
Yes, I had to face this decision of, do I leave, do I stay? Because I felt I had so much guilt. What am I doing? Like I'm thinking about myself now, because I'm not happy in this relationship. He's abusive. I know but I'm basically leaving my daughter without the father, which is again, it's not true. That's the idea I had in my mind, because later on I realized that a mother and a father is still there, even though you don't see them all the time together, because that's how it's supposed to be by, again, somebody else's ideas. It's still okay. You still have the mother. You have still loving mother, loving father. It's still there. There's nothing. It's much worse how people stay in a relationship for the kids. The kids know. You can't bullshit kids. They know, they see you, they see the mother's always crying, upset, she's anxious, she's screaming at everybody.
And then that creates a cycle for the future relationships, because you're going to emulate what you know.
Of course, it influences all your life. So I made a decision when she was 3. I better leave so that she doesn't see this, the fights, all the terrible stuff that started happening. Then keep pretending we have a family for somebody, for my mother, for his mother. So I left. So what I took with me after all that life, I had my daughter, 3 years old. I had the car keys. He gave me a Mercedes. So I took the Mercedes. I couldn't even take anything from the apartment. So I can't take TV or chandelier. We had this beautiful place. So I took this bronze statue of a woman. She's like this. With wings.
You still have it?
I still have it. Of course. Standing there, it's like it weighs, I don't even know. My friends had to carry it out because let's just pick it up. And I had my clothes, but that's it. And I had to build over again he never paid any child support. It was, in Russia, you just...
Yeah, I know.
But... to be fair, he was responsible for her dancing career. She's a professional ballroom dancer. So he took care of everything. He drove her there. That's on him, and I'm grateful that he's a great person, great father. He was not for me. Was my relationship successful? Yeah, for the time being. We have a beautiful daughter. We have a few years of an amazing relationship. Good memories. That's it. It's just, I think these days we grow too fast. The world is fast.
Yeah. You know what I find is that most people, I'm speaking from my own experience. When you get divorced and you have kids, there's always that really turbulent period of time, because your emotions get in the way, and what you think is the best interest of the kids gets in the way. But I think over time, especially like in where I am in this epoch of my life, when you have grandchildren, you forget about all the fights in court and the attorneys and the money spent, and you forget about it. What does it really mean at the end of the day? If you have beautiful grandchildren and you see your kids being successful, healthy, and living their lives, that's all that you care about.
That's your success.
Yes.
Again, congratulations.
It's all about your vibes and your views. If your vibe is off, change your view. If your view is off, change your vibe. How can people share their vibe and view with you, Katia?
With me. Instagram is still the best way of connecting.
Yes.
Katia.Stern. Then you can
find everything on there. Find your website. Find everything about you.
I don't have a website these days.
No?
No.
Okay.
You know why? People are looking for me. I'm not looking for them. And they find me.
Sometimes you find things when you're not even looking for them.
But when you exactly need them.
Well, Katia, I appreciate you. This has been a great hour-long chat, sharing some of our, exposing part of our souls, part of our past, maybe not anything that was ever shared before, in our beautiful friend Monica's house, who, of course, if you're looking to improve your love life, sexy bedding is a way to, you spend a third of your life in the sheets in bed, so might as well make it sexy.
Keep vibing and keep viewing. Thanks for having me. We touched the depths.
We definitely got down and dirty in a clean way. We touched the depths. We felt the vibe. And we definitely had the view. We'll see you next time.